Hey everybody, it's Chloethedev here. I'm sure you're all having wonderful days. Sorry for the noise. Bianca's filling up the Brita filter. We got a pretty big one to go into our fridge. So Bianca's filling that up. We just had the landlord. We live on campus housing, so the landlord slash like maintenance people, like one maintenance person, one housekeeper. They came up, and the maintenance person, I guess, she couldn't speak English very well, so the housekeeper lady was kind of like translating for him. Bianca blew a fuse in the stove, so we they came and got that fixed up for us, which was really helpful. So I appreciate that. Yesterday I forgot to go live. I think I was just really tired. I woke up pretty early for classes, and honestly didn't do too much. My class ended around 1, but at that time Bianca started to have at our place in our living room our futon. And I'm getting connection issues already, so that's fun. Well, I put my computer down and it seems to work, so hopefully that just keeps things good for now. But pretty much, I just laid the time down, took a little nap in the sun. Um, didn't do too much else. Ate pretty well. Finally, I've been trying to eat a lot healthier recently, but it hasn't been going that well. I tried fasting a few weeks ago when I first got here in May 1st. I do a lemonade fast where I do some lemons, water, distilled water, cayenne pepper, maple syrup, and I mix it up. Usually it's all I have, but this time around, I just couldn't stop having Oreos. I couldn't stop having cookies. Couldn't stop having candy and stuff like that. So that made it really difficult for me to fast. But usually I do a cold turkey. So usually I'll just eat really unhealthily for a while, and then I'll just go cold turkey and just go straight into fasting or straight into eating healthier foods. But this time around, it was really difficult for me. I think all the changes going on. Sorry, distracted. I think all the changes going on just with COVID and moving and everything like that, it made it difficult to just kind of like, I eat food for like comfort reasons as well. More, I think food just tastes good. And for me, eating food helps relax me, lowers my anxiety and all that kind of stuff. And so I think, especially with moving here and all that, it was very hard to stick to a strict routine of what I was eating. It was a lot easier for me just to like get a snack every 15, 20 minutes and to keep eating snacks all day long. So but as I've been getting into my school routine, it's been a lot easier for me just to kind of drink more water throughout the day, to eat less cookies and snacks. Usually like I'll make breakfast for Bianca, so I'll do eggs and food and stuff like that. So recently, what we've decided, or what I've decided, is that I'd rather have eggs and food and stuff like that for lunch. Yeah. Okay. Bianca's just staring at me, so I'm just wondering what she's doing. No, no big deal. So instead of doing the eggs in the morning, hopefully just eggs at lunchtime, and then has something later in the mornings for me specifically. So hopefully a smoothie or something like that we could share. We did get a new smoothie maker. Now that the fuse is fixed, we can put this blender back on the counter, hopefully with only the blender in it this time, not like the crock pot and everything else like Bianca likes to do. But yeah, with all the changes, it was hard to change my diet. Now it's a bit easier. Yesterday I did pretty good. I think I had a bowl of ice cream at night and some cookies with my ice cream, which to me isn't that bad. Having my daily dessert isn't the worst thing in the world. My mom did come bring a lot of healthy food when she visited the beginning of the week on Monday for the holiday. So she brought like a watermelon and so much veggies and fruits and all that. So that's been really helpful for me as well. I feel like for me, what I've realized is that when I go up to get a snack, I don't really care what snack it is, as long as it's quick and easy and it tastes good. I'm pretty happy. So like eating an Oreo is quick and easy and tastes good. But like doing like an oat bite, like my mom brought some of these like oat fudge peanut butter bites, and I'm like, okay, well those are quick and easy and taste good too. And I'm like, to me, it's the exact same thing. Eating a Oreo or eating a oat fudge healthy bite, whatever, is the exact same. So hopefully working with Bianca to try and make sure that the pantry and fridge in general are more full of healthier foods. Bianca does a pretty good job with her like portion controlling and stuff like that. So she'll have like Oreos in the fridge or Oreos, or now they're in the fridge, so that's why I'm saying that. But like Oreos in the cupboard or fridge, and they'll stay there for months and months, and she won't eat them. even my mom's really funny. She'll like eat everything off, but she'll leave like the ends of it for later as like a snack. So like a chocolate bar or whatever, or a bag of chocolates. And she'll eat like 90% of the chocolate and leave like two or three for later. And those two or three will stay for months. It's kind of funny. I'll usually go snack on them whenever I come home. My grandma did that too. She'd save snacks from like airplane snacks. She'd have those in the little like cookie tin for months, maybe years, and I'd come home and eat her snacks. But it's kind of become something on purpose, I feel like, where they do these things for me because they know that I'll come eat all the snacks everywhere. So we kind of hide little bits of snacks everywhere for me. It's kind of cute. But that was pretty much yesterday. Pretty much just had a few classes. Intro to algorithms is pretty easy, pretty good. Learning C. C will be new for me. C will be a bit rough. I'm used to Solidity, but C isn't too different, it seems, than Solidity. A little bit easier just in terms of gas costs. Solidity is not bad, but when you do things in Ethereum, you talk about gas costs all the time. So like, for example, one of my questions on my quiz was, input a number like 125 and reverse that number to 2521, and how to do that with pseudocode. And it's kind of difficult because I understand that my issue with pseudocode was not understanding that pseudocode. The way I understand pseudocode now is pseudocode is basically how to explain the instructions for a computer to do something if that computer didn't understand any specific computer language. So not necessarily telling it to do something in JavaScript or Rust or Python or Solidity, but how would you get as close to the language of a computer as you could, but being generic and not being Solidity specific or JavaScript specific. Because I've realized programming isn't as difficult as I feel like a lot of people think it is. It has a very steep learning curve. That is definitely correct. When you get into it, it's all gibberish. You don't understand. It's all symbols and numbers and math. But a lot of it is just processes. So if you're thinking about your GPS and you want to go to McDonald's, you might know how to get to McDonald's, but you might not be able to be a GPS for someone and explain to them how to get to McDonald's if they've never, driven in your city before, or they've never driven the right-hand side of the road before, or they've never driven a car before. So for example, some programming languages are very complicated, and you've got to explain to the computer, because the computer's very dumb, exactly how to do everything. How to start the car, you got to explain to the computer how to get into the car, how to unlock the doors, how to put the key in the ignition. And then some cars are easy to drive. So some cars, it's like, open the door, sit down, put the key in the ignition, turn the key to on, put your foot on the pedal, but are you parked? Do you have to reverse first? How do you reverse? So programming is simply explaining to a very dumb computer exactly how to do something that you want to do. So if you want the car to drive to McDonald's, you need to tell it which way to drive, which way to turn, how fast to go, to make sure the result at the end is the same. So for example, if I said, hey, I want to go to McDonald's, please do that for me. You might pay a programmer to get you to McDonald's, but it might be McDonald's you want. It might be McDonald's in Tokyo. And that could be an analogy for like servers. So if you go to McDonald's in Tokyo or go to hit a server in Tokyo for your API is just getting information off of something. So, if I want the date and time, right, that date and time could be the date and time anywhere. So if I'm creating a cute little website, I say, I want the date and time. Well, it depends where my user is from. So I might want to check by pinging their request off of where it's coming from. So if a user is trying to get the date and time for their local location, it's not going to be very helpful if I give them the date and time for Japan or for China or for wherever else if they're living in Toronto, Ontario. So stuff like that is what programming is about. It's just remembering or knowing that you've got to know all these things, know all these tricks, know, okay, if a user comes in from Toronto, how do I make sure I get in the date and time, or her the date and time from Toronto? But I feel like once you get used to all these things, programming is really easy. That's why they always say just do it. If you ever want to program, just start. I definitely feel like and a lot of instructors will say this, it's so much easier to program or to learn to program when you're doing it every day, yes. But when you know what you want to build, even if what you want to build is some huge mega even with COVID, a lot of people are getting into their small businesses. Bianca is a graphic design comms, media relations, whatever type of person. And even she's, trying to get started in her own little like side gig thing. So a lot of people are doing that. And with side gigs, a lot of times people create websites. With those websites, obviously you can just pay like $100 a year, $200 a year, go on Squarespace, Wix, GoDaddy, and make an easy website. But a lot of times you want more control over your website. And that's where like HTML, JavaScript, CSS, all that comes in. And learning all that isn't that difficult. They have freecodecamp.com. They have, Web3 School. They have all these different online things that'll teach you how to code for free. But a lot of it, in my opinion, didn't actually make sense to me until I built a full project. So I know for me, I never really want to build. I want to like researching instead. But if you know that you want to have just a website about, your product or something you might want to sell, or if you do photography, just a photography website, I think some of the hardest parts about coding and programming is everything aside from the basics. So like, if I'm going to make a website, getting my name to show up is easy. Getting a table to show up is easy. That's the basics, right? Those things are pretty generic. They're pretty straightforward. And even professionals, they Google these things. How do I create a table in JavaScript? You Google it because you can create a table in every visual coding software. So you just need to know how to do this table with this syntax. So you copy and paste your table. But the harder part is, how do you animate that table? How do you get the table to fill full of the data with the right state? So state just means the state of the computer, the state of all the data in the computer. So if your username is girl crazy football fiend 19, which was my username, my Hotmail name when I was 14, 13. It was girl_crazy_football_fiend_19 at hotmail.fr. I was cool like that. It's like laughing at me, smiling at me. But if that was your username for a website, that would be the state. The state of my username would be girl_crazy_football_fiend_19 at hotmail.fr. Now, if I changed, and that would display, so the website would say, fetch users username, state.username, or the state of the username of this user, and display it in this table, let's say, right? Very, very straightforward. But how do you make sure that state is updated when I change my username? So that's where I think a lot of the confusion comes in. And a lot of apps do this for you. Like I know when I do Web3 stuff in Ethereum, I use a Drizzlebox with Truffle. Truffle is a framework to make smart contracts and test them easier. And so a Drizzlebox with React, and it'll open up a full React app for me. It'll open up React, connect to Web3 in the back end, or I call it the middle end, because you have like React, JavaScript front end, and then you have like this Web3 middle end that connects the JavaScript to the Ethereum client. It's like a library. And then you have the Ethereum backend, which is basically you use Web3 calls or Ether.js or whatever kind of API calls to talk in JavaScript to talk to the API in Ethereum. But you need to make sure you have the right state. So if I change my information, or in this situation, if the Ethereum blockchain state changes and updates, I need something to make sure it notices the state has changed or checks the state has changed, and then updates it. So some of the new ones, I'm pretty sure the way they work is what they do is any variable that you have used, it will automatically check those variables every block in the for the Ethereum block and automatically change the state if it notices it changes, which is pretty cool. APIs are the same way. So if you want to check the date and time, you could have it just ping the API whenever you want. So you can ping the API every second and update every second with a new time. And then you'd see an uptick of time every second. You could have it only change the time every hour, and it would change every hour. But pretty much it's learn how to make changes off of data. It's very easy to make a static website, and that's, I guess, what I mean. It's very easy to do the basic things, like a website that shows my name, my face, my information, scroll, very easy. But once you want to start having like dynamic things happen, that's where I think programming gets difficult, and that's where I think people should focus more on. I was talking to my brother, and I was like, one of the simplest applications to make, he cares about cryptocurrency, would be, okay, well, just make a nice little script or a nice little program that runs on your computer 24/7, just runs in a little shell, a little program, and basically checks an API for the price of Bitcoin, for example, right? Checks the price of Bitcoin, stores that price somewhere, right? And then alerts you, or so it tweets or emails or messages you or someone about the price of Bitcoin in that hour. And then I was saying was, if you could figure out how to email yourself the price of Bitcoin every hour, you could easily now all of a sudden have our data points for Bitcoin, because now you've saved all those price points from this API. Now you go back and you can start plotting trading or trying out different trading tactics in the past based on all this data you have about the price of Bitcoin from the past. Obviously, if you need more data, you could increase how much times you're pinging the API. So instead of once an hour, you could do it once a second, once every half a second, once every four times a second. It would also cost a lot of money for the data. You have to save that data somewhere. You cache that data, store it somewhere in a hash, pull it back up later. But you still need to be able to pull that data up somewhere. But these are the things that are a little bit harder to do. Knowing that you have to do this is one thing, that's knowing how to program, but actually being able to program in a certain language. So for example, my brother, he would do this in Python. He likes Python, he's learning Python. Me, I would use JavaScript probably. I've used it most often in my life so far. Ethers.js, and well, obviously Ethers.js and Web3.js are both JavaScript libraries. I've never used the Python versions of Web3, and I've never even heard of a Python version of Ethers. I'm sure it exists, but I've never tried it, and I think that using a whole new library would be a pain. But again, the only reason it's a pain is because I have to memorize the library. And I think that's, again, if you ever want to get into programming, if you ever want to get into doing all this stuff, all you gotta do is realize it's just memorizing. It's just getting used to a new language. When you went to French class, if you're in Canada, or Spanish class, wherever you're from, you had to memorize. You sat in class and they said, "Je m'appelle so-and-so," and you were like, "Je m'appelle so-and-so," and you repeat and go back and forth. And programming is the exact same thing. So, I have a C class coming up, and I don't know anything about C, but I can program in Solidity and JavaScript, and a lot of it's the same thing. You take your file, you import the libraries you need, you call those libraries to talk to different things you need to talk to, and you need those libraries. A lot of times you can use the base language and just talk to an API, but it requires a lot of extra code, and you don't want the boilerplate code. So instead of boilerplate code, you use a framework. It sounds complicated, but it's not. There's even this compiler called Svelte. And basically, one of my partner, Spelly, he likes it a lot because you can do all your CSS, JavaScript, and front-end stuff all in the same file. So instead of having to have like a CSS, and I know in React you can do your CSS inline in your JavaScript, but you still need to do your JSX, you still need to do your state management, you still need to do a lot of other things. In Svelte, you do your imports, you write your JavaScript, you write your HTML, but you could actually have your HTML and then literally have a new JavaScript right below it. You could do inline CSS, or you could actually write a CSS file in the same file. I'd say it's similar to being able to, when you do React, how you have like all your components in the same file. Very similar to that, and how in React you might want to separate your components a lot of the time because it gets really messy. So in Svelte, I think what Spelly is missing out on, or is not realizing, my partner, is that in React usually you split your components anyways. So at the end of the day, if you use something that's already taken all the boilerplate code, like a framework, all that code is gone. It's bloated, I guess, with lots of backend stuff going on that you don't need, but it's easy. Svelte is easier. It is simpler. If you guys want to learn it one day, please feel free. For simple 1-page, 2-page websites, Svelte is amazing. For more than that, it's good. It's good. I think that if you're a beginner, using React and JavaScript for most things is so easy that, I mean, I don't see why you would use anything else. It's pretty easy to manipulate data in JavaScript. It's just, I don't know, it's simple enough. If you have any questions about programming, where you start, what you should do, please feel free to ask. Googling it is very simple. There's so many answers on Google about how to do this type of stuff. Today, I'll just talk about today quickly. Woke up, couldn't have my morning toke because, landlords and stuff coming over, so that was a bit rough. But the land came over, fixed the fuse. Bianca's working on the desk, of course, because look, that's my desk right there. But she's using it because she is amazing and she just takes all that stuff. I have class at 11:30, so in about half an hour. I have I think like computer design. So I think it's like architecture and design of computers. I'm really excited for that. I do want to build my own PC. It's something I wanted to do for a long time since I was younger. My brother Ashton built his own PC when he was younger. Always wanted to. I want a really cute looking one, like the ones you see on Twitch and like all on Reddit and stuff. But I have the money for one now, I suppose. I'm not rich or anything, but I could like start piecing together like a shell and a power core and fans and all that. After that, try and make it. So I'm gonna wait a little bit again, just because it says I'm unstable. So anyways, now it says we're good, so we'll see. But Bianca might get a new remote position. Not going to jinx, not going to say too much about it yet because we don't know much about it. But if it does happen, I'll let you all know. But if it does happen, we'll probably be able to get internet here properly set up so she could have more stable like call work. Probably get some cool setups with like our computers and different desks and stuff eventually too. Poorly. Goodbye all. Chloethedev here. I hope you all have a great time. Hope we have a great day. Internet's trash. But love you all. Comment, subscribe if you want to follow along the journey.